everyone.
Hi.
When anyone speaks about using playing cards to tell the future, people are immediately uneasy. They find the idea of tarot cards to be creepy and scary, but most people don't actually understand what they're used for and how helpful they can be in everyday life. Tarot cards did not begin as we know them today. They evolved from a game called Triumph, which is similar to bridge. It was played in royal courts purely for entertainment. The game gained popularity all over Europe, and eventually people began to refer to it as tarocchi, which is the Italian version of the French word tarot. In 1781, England and France, several groups began to see symbolic pictures in the cards. They interpreted them and wrote them down, and the divination form of reading tarot cards was born. Most people think that tarot cards are used solely to predict the future, but that's not really true. They're used to provide a deeper understanding of oneself and provide a guide on how best to do this. There are two types of readings: open readings and question readings. Open readings give you a general idea of where you are in your life and your potential. You can use what the cards say about your potential to guess what could come to you in the future, but again, that's not really their main purpose. Question readings provide answers to inquiries made by the querent, or person who is getting their cards read. There are several different spreads with which the tarot reader can provide different readings. Spreads refer to the way the cards are laid out, like the spread behind me. Some spreads can be used to tell the querent about his or her love life, family, job, and life in general. The card reader generally decides which spread is appropriate for the question being asked. The deck itself contains 78 cards. It has two categories of cards, the major arcana and the minor arcana. The minor arcana is similar to that of regular playing cards. There are 4 suits: wands, cups, swords, and pentacles. Each suit has cards numbered 1 through 10, a page, a knight, a queen, and a king. The major arcana consists of 22 cards that represent important concepts in human life. Each of these 78 cards has its own unique design and its own meaning. Each card also has a different meaning when flipped, so when it's reversed, it has another meaning. Knowing these meanings is very important when reading the cards. The actual process of reading the cards varies. The reading is a lot more specific and direct when done by someone who can perceive things beyond what is directly present. This is often referred to as the third eye, and many people with this level of intuition use the cards as a way to interpret what they see. But it isn't a skill that is required to use tarot cards. My speech teaches the ordinary person how to read tarot cards, which is why it's entitled Third Eye Blind. The standard open reading uses the Celtic cross, which is behind me. This is a spread that gives the querent a basic idea of where they are in their life and what could possibly come to them in the future. The process is as follows. First, the reader gets a general sense of the querent and chooses a card from the deck that best represents them, called the significator card. This card is placed in the center of the cross. The querent then shuffles the cards thrice, that's 3 times, and cuts it thrice. Once the cards are handed back to the reader, they are laid out within the spread. The first card is laid on top of the significator card. This represents the environment surrounding the querent at present. The second card is laid across the significator card. This card represents the querent's current obstacles. These can be both physical and mental, and usually depends on how the querent relates to the card. The third card is placed above the significator card. This card represents that which could fall upon the querent. Imagine it as a bucket of water hanging over your head. The bucket is always there, but you never know whether or not it will spill. The spilling of the water could either be good or bad, should it happen. If you need a shower, the bucket of water falling over you is beneficial. If you just got ready for an important job interview, the bucket of water is going to cause serious problems. This is how you must see the card when it is presented. The next card is placed below the significator. It represents the tools the querent has to work with in his or her own life. These can also be good or bad. The querent may possess traits or characteristics that can help them further their own life. Sometimes the tools are other people. Another way of looking at this card is to look at it as something that the querent must work with in order to further their life. For example, a bad situation or someone who negatively influences the querent. This is something that the querent must use to their own advantage. The next 2 cards must be placed in a very specific way, just like the others, but they depend on the significator card. They represent what is behind and before the querent. They're placed to the left and right of the significator card and the order that they're put in depends on this card. So the figure in the picture, whichever way they're facing, if they're facing to the left, like my significator, then the 5th card goes behind, and the 6th one goes before, and vice versa. This is a timeline for the querent. Think of this timeline as a tie-dye shirt. The colors fade into one another. The card behind and the card before are the 2 colors fading into each other, and the querent is right in the middle. This lets the reader know where the querent is in his or her own timeline. The cross-section of a Celtic cross is used to interpret the querent. This is that section right here. The cross-section is then used for the 4 cards off to the side. These are used to interpret what may come to pass in the querent's future. The 7th card is used to show how the querent will feel about whatever is going to come. The 8th card is used to determine what will be going on in the querent's environment. The 9th card demonstrates the querent's hopes or fears in the situation that will happen. And the 10th card is one of the most important. It is what will come. Using your knowledge of card meanings, you can easily interpret the cards. Cards always can be interpreted differently, and they're often misinterpreted. That's a fact of life. The most important thing that everyone should know in regards to reading tarot cards is that the querent shuffles their own cards. They place the cards in a specific order, and therefore they hand the reader everything they need to know about them, and they shuffle their own future into existence. Tarot cards do not dictate your future. You are in control of your own future, and therefore have the ability to change the course you're headed on and pick a new path. Tarot cards have been around for nearly 300 years. Their use is spread throughout the world, and hundreds of different style decks are available just about anywhere. Tarot cards aren't just for those who believe they have a third eye or psychic abilities. They're for everyone. They're for anyone who wants to know themselves better and seek guidance. Our future and our lives are our own. Never be afraid to reshuffle your cards. Thank you.